Hello, everybody! Welcome to the Daily Cultural Exchange program. Thanks to the Universal Radio team for this space.
We are your hosts, Karla and Mariana. We hope you enjoy today's cultural theme, cultural literary criticism.
Sounds very nice indeed. Let's begin our cultural chat after our traditionally melodic intro.
Alrighty, so as always, we should probably explain what today's theme is about. In general, cultural literary criticism is a literary criticism school that was born as a counterpart of the idea of high culture, or rather the difference between high and low culture.
Oh yeah, that old idea of formal and fancy. Cultural literary criticism was based on reaching the roots of a very fragmented stigma about culture and also kind of an analysis of what the understanding of a word through its author and social context.
Actually, it's kind of interesting to know how this school perceived the concepts of high and low culture by grabbing or rather questioning the diverse points of view. I believe that's also a reason why it's called new historical criticism, right?
Exactly! It actually tends to encompass issues from a diverse point of view. You know, ideologies and reception of literary works, theme of race and gender. Oh, and we both know that we love those topics.
Yes, so what makes it even more interesting is that it tries to unveil the social perception of the boundary between high and popular culture.
I know, right? That's what I love and hate about cultural criticism. This school seeks its political reasons, talking about why some products are more valid than others.
But you know what? There are moments when I get a little bit confused when it comes to all definitions of what constitutes the literary canon.
Oh well, the literary canon comes from a long way back. The word canon by itself refers to the official books or books that are recognized by the church. So, literary canon is pretty much the equivalent to the books or works that have certain officiality or privilege, somewhat like a special club of literary works that have been considered masterpieces.
Sounds like something that is quite open for debate. So, reading Shakespeare's works is pretty much like reading works from the canon.
Indeed. And it's quite difficult to actually explain what works may be considered part of the literary canon and what works shouldn't, because even experts have a hard time debating this.
And now that I'm thinking about Shakespeare, his works were mostly read and enjoyed by working people, right? It is kind of interesting to see how that particular example has evolved into high and low culture. But in the end, those works that later became only for the educated and privileged have come to a much wider public domain, isn't it?
Definitely. I mean, who could even forget 1968 movie Romeo and Juliet by Franco Sefirelli? I still can't forget those bright tights Leonard Whiting had to wear.
Me neither, or even Hamlet, also by Sefirelli. There's pretty much no exact boundary as to what corresponds to the so-called high culture.
That's precisely the underlying purpose of this particular school, and also the fact that literary work should be considered products of time, place, and historical circumstances.
Oh, right, that comes from the cultural and historical context sections while doing a literary analysis. Well, I don't know how Roland Barthes would feel about analyzing the author's context, but to me it seems kind of important.
Of course, maybe Barthes had a similar idea of those who were questioned by this school.
I believe so. I mean, authors from this school wanted to give historicity and cultural context a much more evident importance regarding the making of a text. To be honest, it does seem they were inspired by Foucault's idea of the limits of cultural knowledge and time.
That's also why they were a bit against the university departmental structures. In general, most universities separated the arts department from the historic one, making it look like they didn't have much in common. Oh hey, on our Twitter, the public is asking us to tell them more about the author of this school.
Of course, very important, fellow listeners and cultural theme lovers, because you guys asked for it, we're going to recommend you some of the authors that belong to this school.
That's right. First of all, you cannot talk about cultural criticism without mentioning Michel Foucault. Thanks to his works, the new historical criticism aims at interpreting a literary text as an expression of or reaction to the power structures of the surrounding society. Sounds complex, right?
Also, we cannot forget about Marxism.
Oh, those guys.
Both of these movements tend to emphasize every cultural aspect and context a literary work has, including its techniques of analysis.
Yes, authors like E.P. Thompson, Raymond Williams, and Mikhail Bakhtin have done some amazing works.
Now, prepare yourselves, guys. It's time for our typical critic. This time, we are going to talk about one of the most famous critics of this school.
You got it! We will critique Imagining Shakespeare by Stephen Orgel. Of course you guys know it.
Yes, so to begin with, it is an analysis of some of the greatest works of Shakespeare. Orgel describes his trajectory as a collaboration between author and actor.
That's right, and I think I agree. It is not only the work of an author, but as well of the actor when it comes to bringing life to the play.
Oh yes, totally, but he implies that his collaboration isn't always an equal partnership, meaning that in Shakespeare's case, being both a shareholder and a principal actor in the company he wrote for.
He was involved in more parts of this collaboration than other playwrights were. Wow! You see, there are some incoherences here.
Of course, Orgel approaches the versatility of a literary work through a mere analysis of work and author. It doesn't leave much space for other aspects that could be used to analyze a literary work.
Oh, certainly. I believe that the fact that Orgel is implying that Shakespeare, although is a writer that we have appreciated over the years, isn't always going to be seen in the same way. Historical context matters. It is not the same to talk about Hamlet in the 19th century as in the 21st century, right?
That is why we were talking about Zeffirelli's Hamlet and new perspectives of literary canon. Alright, well, I think that's all our time for today, right?
Yes, it is. Anyways, we hope you guys enjoyed today's program. We'll be back tomorrow with more cultural gossips and critiques. Bye!